Well, good morning everybody, and it's my birthday row. Today I'm going to row as normal my 5,000 meters on my rowing machine, and then going to tag on a 1,000 meter cool down at the end. This means round about 26 minutes worth of rowing in total, which if you're trying to get to 5k, hopefully that's enough time, but don't worry if it's not, okay? Everybody's in a certain journey when it comes to their rowing, so it doesn't matter if you're able to hit that 5k or if you're not able to. It really is just more about that 25 minutes or so that you're rowing for. That's what's important, not the distance, okay? So we're going to get our machine set up first, and then we'll get into the row, and I will continue the story of why I have the gumption, the audacity, the whatever, to be the one sitting here telling you all about rowing, all right? So yeah, I really should retake this intro. It's not been a very good one so far, has it? But we're going to get into it. We'll persevere. So go to your drag factor, intensity, resistance, squirrels, whatever your machine uses, and set it to wherever you feel that you can get connected to the stroke, but you don't have to tug and heave against it in order to get the thing moving. At the same time, don't set it so low that you feel like flying backwards and you're not connected. Seat, I want you to sit more towards the front of the seat and more towards the front of your backside. Please do this for me. Sit on your seat and then sit more towards the front and then up on your sit bone. So I practice what this feels like rather than at the back and going brr, okay? That's how you ride a motorbike. Brr. And this is how you row. Do you like my motorbike noise? Brr. Next up, foot stretcher height. What I want you to do is set your foot plates to a height where you're able to come into the front of the machine with your shins in a vertical position comfortably. If they're too high, it can be a bit tough to get there, and quite often what happens is your heels come right off the foot plates and that causes power leaks. Or if they're set too low, what happens is you overcompress and your backside escapes from underneath you and you get power leaks, okay? So, and this is all about giving you a more effective workout. It's not just about power and speed and stuff. The more power you can put into the machine, the more you work your body, all right? And then handle, let's hold that shoulder width with a loose grip rather than a narrow grip. And like, you know, when you see people rowing like this, like that's not how you row. Anyway, that's how T-Rexes row. Maybe, sorry, podcast people, but you just missed an incredible impression of a T-Rex. Right, there's about to be a cut as I go from one piece of branding with my hoodie, like it, don't know, to this. Kind of similar branding, but it's just black and white instead. Now, I didn't say that EXR were on the below Boston course today. Hopefully you saw it in the background, but that's what we're going to do. So let's get to the rowing because I'm wasting a lot of time with this intro today. So let's get started in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're off. Right, so like I said, let's see, are we moving? Yeah, we are, cool. Today, I am the birthday boy, which I'm now at an age where all the cards I get are all about abuse for how old I am rather than, oh, have an exciting day, so. But hey, and I just had quite a rushed present opening session with the kids and Julie. Went through all my presents just before they go to school. Spoiled as always. I don't have a favourite present, but if I had to pick one, my sister got me Troy Lucetta, or Troy Lucetta's drumsticks. Now, maybe you don't follow the world of kind of 80s, 90s rock music, but Troy Lucetta, I think he still is, still thinks it was, but he played the drums in a band called Tesla. And they were kind of, so, I'll talk rowing in a second, just get moving, pump forwards over the hips, get into that 1 o'clock angle, straight arms, roll into the front, push your legs, holding that forwards tilt, and then pull at the back and swing to an 11 o'clock tilt. Just think about that for the next few minutes while I just quickly talk about this stuff. Yeah, I'll do another, say when we get to 5 minutes, I'll do a bit more of a technique unpacking once we're properly warm. But yeah, so if you have watched enough of my workouts, videos, you might have heard that kind of the one constant when it comes to music through the years for me has been a band called Van Halen. Just absolutely clicked with me musically and all that stuff. But anyway, there was then a kind of a second tier of bands that I really liked, and that was Mr. Big, Bon Jovi to an extent. Everything after Keep the Faith went downhill for me. Who else did I listen to? I feel bad that Extreme. It's a big Extreme fan. And then Tesla. They had a couple of great albums. I think right about up to one called Psychotic Supper. Is where I was really into them. And then they had one called 5-Man Acoustical Jam. Anyway, sorry. So I was a proper fan of them. And Pam was, last week, she went to see a guy called John Corabi, who is the singer from the Dead Daisies, who I also like. They're a current rock band. But he is doing a solo tour, and his drummer is Troy Lucetta. And Pam knows the guys from Dead Daisies quite well, so she got backstage afterwards to meet them and whatever, and somehow she's managed to wangle a pair of drumsticks from one of my favourite drummers of all time. You had to see my wee face when I opened the packet, because I opened there was a pair of drumsticks, and I'm like, all right, she's got me like a hard rock cafe sticks or something. But then when I opened them and saw how chewed up and tattered they were, I thought, oh, hang on. And then signed Troy Lucetta. Anyway, so that was nice. Right, here we go then. Let's do hopefully 5 minutes in, we are nicely warmed up and we can properly think about how we go through the rowing stroke. As always, I want you to think about your stroke from the back. Once you pull the handle in to your chest, that is the end of your stroke. The start of your next one happens as you let the handle come away. If you only think about the rowing stroke when you're at the front in the catch position, it's too late. Your recovery into the front of the machine sets up your body positions to be able to get into the catch properly. So the handle, you want to pull in to sternum height, okay? Don't, so my watch is beeping at me. There you go. Avoid pulling the handle high up into your throat or dumping it low into your belly button, your lap. Straight line from the front of the machine into your chest. It's sternum height. That's what you're looking for here. And then try to keep wrists flat as you pull in. That will help you get your elbows through your sides, or elbows through your sides will help keep your wrists flat. They both feed into each other. And then as you pull the handle in, you will create a kind of elastic tension from your tendons and muscles up in your shoulders and in your back that wants to release. It's not particularly strong tension, but it's there all the same and it wants to release. So let it. Don't fight it by holding the handle against your chest. Let it come away. And then as the handle comes away, sit up. Reset your posture. And then as the handle continues to move forwards, you tilt forwards over your back. Or over your hips, sorry. Hinging over your hips like closing a book. But you only hinge to that 1 o'clock angle. And what should happen is that your hands are moving forwards, your back is moving forwards. And then at the point when your hands reach your feet, your face will be pretty much over your knees. But your upper body is kind of still, the mass is moving forwards. So that all you need to do is bend your knees in order to roll into the front of the machine. And then roll until shins are vertical. Try not to go past that. You're wasting energy and creating potential power leaks by going past vertical and then keeping your arms straight and that forwards tilt. Think about pushing the machine away with your feet. Don't think about pulling on the handle. Don't think about swinging your back at the front. Certainly don't think about sending yourself back. Just think about pushing the machine away. Push with straight arms, forwards tilt. And then when you are about halfway through that leg drive, that is when you finally swing your back from that forwards tilt to the backwards tilt, known as opening up your hip angle. And then as you get to kind of the back third of the stroke, that is when you finally pull the handle in to a finish, to start all over again. So your legs are down, but not locked. Okay, so you see mine are down, but they're not all the way down locked, like if I was doing a hamstring stretch. You'll see what I mean by lock when I do stretch my hamstrings at the end of today's workout, but right now, legs are just down, toes pointed to the front of the machine. And if you get the sequencing right of your drive, legs, body, arms, and you finish with your legs, then body, then arms, in very quick succession, you should find that the movement of your body backwards is all going into the handle, and therefore you don't have to use the foot straps to stop yourself at the back of the machine. Look at that. 7 minutes. Oh well, it's important. I'm never going to apologize for talking technique. Anyway, right, where were we? Oh, I know. So this is, well, I was to say, this is day 5 of me telling the story of how I went from an inactive, chunky kid to winning gold medals and world records. Sorry, I totally forgot the word there. I might go back and kind of redate the other videos so that you know, in case you need to go back, in case you missed one. But basically, I'm just going to spend the next 12 minutes or so continuing this story while you concentrate on your rowing. So, I was playing squash a lot. I had a group of friends, the hockey fellas, but then I met a girl, moved in with that girl, had a lovely flat in Glasgow, and then I blew out my shoulder playing squash. But here we go then. The problem was that because I was training all the time, I do like 3 hours a day basically training for squash. Fitness, skills work, matches. I was burning a lot of calories, so I could really eat, drink what I wanted to, and I wasn't really putting on any weight. But when I stopped playing squash, that's when I should really have stopped eating as much and certainly drinking as much. So I'd kind of Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'd have like, say, 4 cans of caffreys or Guinness, or would go out with friends and just be shoveling down Guinness and just eating, I mean, eating well, but in the space of a couple of years, I kind of ballooned from about 12 stone to about 16 and a half. So we're talking, I don't know, about 175 to 235 pounds. Just because I wasn't exercising and I was eating everything. So it wasn't until, well, there's 2 things that happened. I proposed to Julie at the top of the Empire State Building, and the photos that we got back afterwards, I was like, who's the fat guy? I mean, I had not quite moves, but they were definitely, I had fat pectorals, put it that way. And then just that made me start to properly catch sight of myself in the mirror and go, oh, hang on, you've got 2 years until the wedding. Took 2 years to get the venues we wanted. So, and you are marrying a real hottie. Julie's stunning. Still is. Was then, still is now. And not only was I thinking, hang on, this hottie might eventually go, why am I with this chunky guy? But having remembered that photo at the top of the Empire State Building, I didn't want to look back at my wedding photos and not see the joy of the day. I'd only see what I'd let myself become. So it was time to turn it around. And for the first, I don't know, maybe 6-9 months, it was all about what I was putting in here, how I was eating and drinking. I don't think I particularly upped my exercise, but I started to look at what I was eating. And so the rule was, during the week, no cake, no crisps, no chocolate, no cheese, no caffreys. Basically, if it began with C, I was not allowed to eat it. Same with Guinness for that. Doesn't quite play into my pithy story. But at weekends, I would take my foot off the gas or the brakes, and if I wanted to eat well and whatever, I would. But rather than 7 days a week of eating like I was a king in the palace, just being fed all the time, I'd make sure only 5 days a week, or sorry, only 2 days a week when I eat badly, and 5, I was very careful, kind of chicken salads and things. And 6 months in, I'd already lost like 20 pounds just by not shoveling rubbish into my face. And so it was time to start upping the activity again. I mean, I'm taking enough time off that my shoulder no longer hurt, but I knew squash was not an option, just due to the kind of the tendon issue that wasn't going to heal on its own. So I had to find other ways. I tried running, but again, because I was still like, I don't know, 14 stone, running was very uncomfortable. So just got into cycling instead. Much better. Hang on. Ooh-ah. Right, I just hit 5K, so I'm going to back off intensity, but I'll hold stroke rate. Yeah, so cycling being kind of like zero load bearing, I was able to do that. And so that's what I did. By this point, we had moved to a town outside Glasgow called Kirkintilloch. And so I got a bike and would cycle into work, cycle home from work, 25k a day. And that just started to see the weight drop off, the fitness improve. And then after a while of doing this, so I joined what would have been Virgin Active gym next to my work, so that I could cycle in the mornings, have a shower, go into work. But I only ever used it as a place to shower. I didn't use it as a gym for like weights or anything. But after about another 6 months or so, I'm like, well, okay, I'm starting to feel kind of healthier now, and I can add in stuff. start doing like some light weights. And then, guess what I saw? Gathering dust in the corner. With the lever set to 10. There's the old faithful concept too. I can still picture it in my mind, 4 of them just lined up in this tiny little kind of annex, right where people would go and stretch. It's almost like they were an embarrassment, like hide them away. Nobody rows, nobody knows how to use these properly, but we need to have them, so let's stick them in the corner. And so that was it. I would then cycle in, I'd sit down, and then I'd do a variety of different rows, like mostly time-based. Like if I had enough time, I'd do a 20-minute row. If I was running late, 10, whatever, but I'd try and jump on it each time. And then I started to, I think there was like the whiteboard wall next to the machines had like that month's challenge was a 2K row. Can you beat the PTs? I think the fastest was like 7:15 or something. So I thought I'll sit down and do one. And I think it was about like 7:45. I'm like, all right, okay, so close enough. And so I then spent that month just every day I'd go in and I'd row another 2K. So I'd cycle in, row 2K, go to work, cycle home again. And by the end of that month, I think it was the last day of the month, I got down to 6:57. And it's almost worthwhile pausing the story here to explain that sometimes you'll do something that you haven't done before, right? So like a 2K time trial, and you'll get a result, and you'll go, all right, that's my result, that's what I'm like. And then you'll go about your life. But if you were to come back the next day and do another 2K with the knowledge of the one that you've just had from the day before, you know where it got tough. You know where you pushed too hard. You know where you weren't pushing hard enough. Especially if you do 2 or 3 of them, say do 2 or 3 a week, you can start to go, oh, hang on, that middle 500 I backed off too much. I could have really pushed it higher there. You look at your splits and that kind of stuff and kind of go, all right, okay, but most importantly, you remember how it felt. It's not about the numbers. You think, all right, so that first one was terrifying, but now I've got to the end. I'm sure I've got another couple of seconds in me. And that's what I had. So I had the fitness to be able to get from that kind of 7:45, 7:30, whatever I was, 2K on my first attempt. And it was more about knowing what I was able to accomplish on the rowing machine. Coming back the next time and going, right, okay, let's do the first 500 a little faster, see if we can maintain it and blah, blah, blah. And within a month, I'd got to sub-7 because I'd unlocked abilities in my body that were there. It wasn't, I don't think I got particularly fitter or stronger over that month. Last one. Woo. Yeah, I don't think I got fitter or stronger over that month, but I certainly got faster, and that's because my brain was able to kind of lock into it more, and I was able to be positive about it. Let's get into stretching while I'm continuing this wee story. So, loosen your straps, put your feet back in your foot stretchers, flick your toes back against the straps. This is when you lock your legs down, okay? So, in order to keep them nice and straight, hands in the air, tilt forwards. Oh, I'm not sitting in the seat, right? There we go, that's better. Tilt forwards over your hips. You should get a great stretch down here into your hamstrings. Yeah, so I was thinking about this. There's a couple of things I was thinking about, and one of them I didn't talk about today, but I'll do that next time. And there is a thing about, it's like, am I going to do I might do a short about this, well, I'll say it quickly. You know, when you start a row, you see lots of people doing a sprint row, okay? And they will go dung, 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 they'll really batter into it, and like go really fast for 2 or 3 strokes, and then they'll settle into it. Now, technically, depending on your distance, if you're doing like a 1 minute, maybe that's gonna help. Maybe it'll actually slow you down, who knows? Let's move on to glutes. next. The other way around. No, other way around. So put one leg up on the rail. Heel is between well, on the rail, kind of round about where the flap is. Bring the other leg up and over so that your heel ankle is in the curve of your knee. Bring that knee across your body so you've got a straight line between your face, knee, foot, monitor. Hold that knee in place and sweep your arm round, rotate your upper body so you're now holding onto the back of the machine. Okay, and hopefully this is now giving you a good stretch into your glutes. If it's not, then think about posture and make sure this knee is in position. What was I saying? Yeah. Especially for like a 2K, that little jerk thing, it's kind of like pointless. You're not. You might be gaining a tenth of a second or whatever, but I've done tests and for me it made no difference. I was better to do full strokes. Okay, but psychologically, if you can start off feeling powerful and you see, like, say you're planning to row at like 140 pace the entire time, okay, and then you go doof, 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 and take two or three really fast strokes, and you see 135 on screen for 3 strokes, okay, you're not going to have worn out that's all going to be about ATP. If I just put the same leg back up again, I said change legs, then you're kind of free fuel for those first 3 strokes. So you're fine to do it, but it's not going to torch your energy as long as you only do 2 or 3 strokes. But if you're aiming for 140 pace and you see 135 on screen, then suddenly you're kind of going, I've got this. This is it. I'm feeling strong and powerful, and that can feed into a very positive 2K row for the rest of the workout or the rest race, whatever you're doing. Whereas if you start off just feeling kind of normal and you see like 143, 144, and you're like, oh, hang on, this is the start of the row. I'm already at 144. The noise that then can come into your head, like that negative noise that can really start to clog you up. It can just within like 10 strokes, you can bail on your row because, so I think that is an important, if that kind of short, sharp, right, I'm going to move up to quads next. So let's bring the monitor back. So I can put my hand on it, bring one leg up in front of me and then, or knee in front of me, and then I can grab onto my ankle and pull my heel up to my backside. And that's kind of what I'm alluding to for, in a kind of like sidestep way for what was happening with me with that 2K at Virgin Active was that I was filled with the ambition and the success of the day before. Every time I sat down on the machine, and also like the naivety and kind of like almost not newbie gains. I think it was more about just kind of unlocking not holding back. It was like learning what I was capable of. And that's what eventually took me down to that 657 2K. So let's change legs, knee up in front of you, hold on to your ankle and hold it against your backside. Oh, got to do hip flexors next. That was quite an uncomfortable move. So I was really pleased. I mean, it's not like, the reason I'm kind of banging on about this is that I'm not saying that everybody can go from that kind of 630, 640 something down to, 730, 740 down to sub 6 within a month. But I am trying to get across that sometimes you are fitter than or fitter and faster than you're actually allowing yourself to be. And so that consistency of effort, coming back to it every single day, I'm not saying it wasn't hard work, it really was, but it paid off. So hard work pays off. Who said that? Right, so we're doing hip flexors next. In fact, I'll do the other leg first so that you can see exactly what's going on. So I have one knee on the ground, behind me, obviously. I've got one foot on the ground in front of me. Both of them have got round about 90-degree angles, okay? So if I reset my posture here, sit up nice, and then just send my body forwards, then I'm now getting a good stretch into my hip flexor. So I've closed off the front knees angle and I've opened up the back knees angle, but I'm still trying to hold a good posture here. I'm not dumping my upper body down. I'm not even folding. You know how we're talking about the hamstrings, folding the upper body down? I'm not even doing that. I'm trying to hold, I'm trying not to fall over as well. A good posture. Right, let's change legs. Same thing, one knee back, one knee in front. In fact, let's put toes down for the time being and see what happens here. So I'm in this position, and then if I reset my posture, see I didn't reset my posture that time, and then send my body forwards, there you go. And now I'm getting a really good stretch right up in here. can help you in here. Sorry for the short shorts today. But I've got a mirror in front of me and I'm like, oh, these are birthday shorts. Gymshark 7-inch shorts, but they're really comfortable to row in, so I'm afraid you're gonna have to put up with it. I really like these actually. I've got an orange pair just like these, and they're nice and light. Quite a lot of the Under Armour ones that I wear are quite heavy and they soak up the sweat. So anyway, so yeah, there we go with the hip flexor stretch. Let's move on to forearms. So push your hands in front of you, in front of your face, and then while pushing them together, bring them down in front of your body. So your thumbs are around about sternum height. And then as you're pushing your hands together into each other, you should be getting a nice little stretch from your fingies. And then if you change what direction your fingers are pointing in, you'll change kind of how that stretch feels, okay? And hopefully you're getting a nice stretch to your forearms. Shouldn't have been that tough of a workout today. Really, your forearms and your shoulders shouldn't have taken that much of a beating, but it's still worth stretching them. So let's do shoulders next. Hand straight out in front of you, turn it upside down, bring it across your body, use your other arm, loop it over that arm so you can then pull it like straight across your body now. And that's when you can then relax your hand. And that then should give a really nice stretch up there in your shoulder. So quickly just to sign off. So I beat the challenge, 6:57. And then get this, they're like, oh, you did it on the last day of the challenge, it doesn't count. So there was obviously some big grunting PT that worked there that was not happy to have one of the members beat him and go sub 7. And I'm like, what do you mean it's the last month of the challenge, it doesn't count? When's that ever been a rule? It's like in the month of March, who can row just because I did it on the 31st of March, it doesn't count? Ugh, sore loser. Let's change arms. But anyway, and so this is an interesting one, and this will feed in quite nicely to kind of, I'll try, I won't race through the story, all right? Because we might as well, listen, if I'm doing this every day, I've got to have stuff to talk about. So, but I will say that so when I finished that 2K, I can't think why, but for some strange reason, I think it must have been, oh no, because it would have been like 2005-ish or something, I can't remember. So the internet was there. And so I went on the internet and I kind of typed in rowing concept 2, 2K, whatever. And there was the concept 2 forum. And I typed in that, I've just done a 2K and I got to 6:57. What should I do next? And really what I got was kind of like snarky comments. Rather than someone saying, wow, that's a great result, sub 7 is a great thing to do, try and work, maybe start doing a 5K or a 10K, or maybe get in touch with someone, see about like, have anyone ever looked at your technique or all that kind of stuff. I just got a whole bunch of snarky comments about, oh, you're obviously a gym guy with a lever up at 10 and stuff, and I'm like, what? And it was a real sour taste that I had that was left in my mouth or my fingers, from the responses I got from that reply. It was really strange. I kind of like, you basically know how the internet is right now, and everyone kind of says, oh, the internet's got a really kind of dark and snarky place. It was like that 20 odd years ago as well, with these kind of people, and especially this, I think there is something about rowing. If I posted, I posted a still image from one of the videos that I'm making, which had a little kind of white blob in the background that I needed to paint out, but I cover it on every single stroke. So I need to paint this out every single stroke. And then for a 25-minute workout, you're looking at like kind of 500 times I had to paint this out. So I posted it onto the DaVinci Resolve user group and kind of said, anyone got a better way than doing this, the magic mask, because it doesn't quite work well, blah, blah, blah. And some guy replied commenting on my technique. and I'm like, fair enough, because he's like, oh yeah, maybe you have to pull the handle to sternum height and straighten up your back at the back. And it was a still that I'd posted at the point when I was releasing the handle away from me, and at that point when I was resetting the posture. So I'm like, right, you're commenting on the wrong part of the stroke. But anyway, and I think there's something about concept 2 that people are just really eager to I don't know, sometimes there's the people that are really eager to help, and then there's the people that are really eager to show off their own knowledge. And I'm hoping that I'm in the really eager to help side. I feel I have a lot of knowledge and I can help people with technique, but I don't actually, I tell a lie. When it comes to high rocks and I see the high rocks rowing people, that's when I'll kind of go, oh, good Lord, you're rowing like an idiot, and try and help. Because it astounds me that nobody in the world of high rocks and CrossFit cares about technique. But if it's the Concept 2 community forum, or even like my own RowAlong Facebook group and whatever, and someone said, ask a technique, I'll be very polite. I'll write an essay about what I think they could be doing with the technique. So anyway, so this really kind of left a sour taste in my mouth when it came to like the online community for Concept 2. I really was kind of like, oh, what? That's just, okay. And so I went nowhere near it for about 10 years. And that's where we'll stop today's story. So thank you so much for joining me for today's workout. I hope you enjoyed the workout. I hope you're enjoying the story. Make sure to have something to eat, something to drink, have a shower, tell someone you love them. And if it's their birthday, if anyone else out there if it's your birthday as well, then there's a thing about numbers that if you get 22 people in a room, mathematically, 2 of them will share a birthday. Now, I don't think that's going to be specific down to February the 20th, but maybe one of you out there has got a birthday. Maybe it was your birthday yesterday. Maybe it's tomorrow or whatever. So if you've got birthdays, even like anytime, whenever it comes, happy birthday. Maybe you're watching this in August and it's your birthday. Who knows? So anyway, have a great day ahead. I'm going to have a nice fun day with Julie. I was going to say with wife, with Julie. Don't know what we're going to do, but we're going to have the kids at school will just kind of get up to go bowling or something. And then go out for a nice meal tonight. And it'll be a great birthday day. So thank you so much for joining me on my birthday. I will look forward to seeing you in the next 5K every day. That's going to be in a couple of days' time, because tomorrow I'm doing a My Row community row. Sunday is the EXR community row. Remember, get the EXR app, download a trial. 5 o'clock GMT, you'll find the sunset row with RowAlong, where I will be rowing for 30 minutes, and I'll be live streamed up here on YouTube, and you can listen to more of my chat. And then Monday, I will be back to continue this story. So until then, row well, be well.